Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to choose the right PhD program for you. What I did was ask 11 of my friends who are in PhD programs across the country, ranging from first years to last years, about their own experiences and to give advice on how to choose the right PhD program. So this video will be a culmination of all of that advice, and we're going to give you some guiding questions on how to choose. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So I'm going to break this up into two different parts. You have the application process and then you have the visit day. And so starting with the application process, the first guiding question that you kind of want to ask yourself is, how much do I care about a school's status or prestige? So if you're just starting the PhD process, a good spot to start would be to pull up a national ranking list, just so you have a list of schools in front of you. I feel like it's a little hard to kind of generate schools out of nowhere, so I would pull up a list, and usually they'll have, of course, ranked number one for your specific field of study that you want to get your PhD in, and then go down from there. And usually the more prestigious ones are at the top, and it goes down from there. And so you want to ask yourself what you care about. Typically, the more prestigious schools, R1 schools, Research 1 schools, Ivy Leagues, things of that nature are going to be more research intensive spaces. So it's going to probably be more of a commitment in the sense of how much you're studying, how much you're researching, what's expected of you. On the other end, you have like R2 institutions, and you have schools that are more liberal arts centered. Those schools are going to be probably a little less intense. It's still a PhD, so it'd still be intense, but you could definitely expect more of a built-in work-life balance in that type of scheduling, in that type of environment. So ask yourself what it is that I want out of my program, and ask yourself, what do I need during this time and during that period of time? The next question you want to ask yourself is, what do I want to accomplish in my career? Generally, if you're wanting to start a PhD program, the two routes that you can take are going into industry or going into academia as a professor. And so if you're wanting to go into industry, what you want to ask is, will this program give me enough experience to market myself on the job market going into industry? Will I have enough experience working in labs, working with different professors? Will I have the opportunity to put out multiple research publications? Look online for that specific school's curriculum, and if it's available, you may be able to see what it is that the students are able to do in that program. If you're interested in going into academia as a professor, you want to ask yourself also, are you more interested in research as a professor, or are you more interested in teaching? Say you're more teaching based and you're thinking about, working at a liberal arts institution after you graduate, then you want to ask, is this program going to give me enough teaching experience to put on my resume? Will I be a teaching assistant and helping another professor most of the time, or will I have an opportunity to be a teacher of record, to where I have control over the class? I'm in charge of this class. It's my own syllabus. It's my work. These are my students, things of that nature. Will I have that experience in this graduate program? Think about your long-term goals and ensure that you're aligning yourself with a program that's going to help you reach those goals. When you ask yourself what it is you want to accomplish in your career, you want to also ask yourself what it is you want to research and what your research interests are. And another thing that's going to help you choose the right fit is identifying 2 or 3 professors who share your research interests. And I say 2 or 3 because you want the ability to pivot. You don't want to go to a program and have only selected one professor of interest, and say that relationship doesn't work out, then you have no other option to pivot to. So you want to make sure that you have 2 or 3 options for yourself for the future, just in case. And once you identify those professors who share your research interests, a good idea could be to cold email them ahead of time, just so you can make sure that you've communicated with them, they know your name, and to make sure that you're getting the most updated information. So you want to ask them what their current research interests are. Sometimes what you find online isn't always up to date, so asking them directly could be a good idea. You want to ask them how many students they're advising. Sometimes they're advising a lot of students at once, and you're going to ask yourself, would they have time to advise me as well on top of these other students? You want to ask who their students are, if possible. That way you could maybe contact those students to ask the students about what they think about working with this professor. You want to ask about recent dissertations that they've advised, just so you can see what type of work is coming out of that lab or with working with that specific professor as an advisor. And you want to ask if they'll be there for the duration of you being in the program. So some of these professors are old and on the verge of retirement. Some of them are not open to taking new students at the time. Maybe they're going on a sabbatical soon. These are all things you want to know ahead of time and not be surprised once you get there and anticipating working with them, and that not be the case when you get there. The next question you want to ask yourself is about the location of the school. Can I live here for 4 to 6 years? A PhD on average takes 5 years, so you're basically building a life there for the duration of your program and potentially after. So it's a good idea to like the city that you're going to be in for that long. Ask, are there things to do in the city that I like to do? Is the demographic of the city and the people in the city people that I could see myself being in community with? These are things you want to ask because that's an important part of your PhD experience. The next question you want to ask yourself is, does this pay work for my financial situation? You want to be realistic, but I will say I would not make a school choice solely based off of the financial package. I think everything else that I'll say today is so much more important than the financial package. But again, be realistic to your own situation and know what's going to work for you, especially within the location of the school. Will you be able to live within your means and your comfortability and your lifestyle within these 5 years based off of this financial package? It is a thing to think about. But again, I would not put all the emphasis on that. You'll make the money back later, so it'll be okay. Another thing you want to look into is your pay attached to the department or is it attached to a specific advisor? If it's attached to a specific advisor, there may be a little less flexibility when it comes to research. And when I mentioned choosing multiple professors that you're interested in researching, it may limit how flexible that is with collaborating with other people. You should definitely ask those questions to the people in your department about how the finances work and how you're getting paid. Now, moving from the application process to the visit day. If your schedule permits, go to the visit day. Another question to ask yourself that you may not have thought of is, do you like the schedule of the visit day? I say this because someone in that department designed the activities and schedule for your visit to that program. And so seeing how much time they allot for different things shows you where their priorities are. What you definitely want is time allotted to talk to the graduate students. It would be a bonus or a plus if graduate students are hanging out with you all day. If the schedule has an emphasis on the professors or if it's more like an information dump, ask yourself, how you felt in that space. Were you bored? Was there any camaraderie? Was there a culture that you experienced through the schedule? You want to ask yourself how you felt about that. Was there a built-in social hour? If that's important to you, that your department has a community feel, you'll definitely be able to tell if that exists on the visit day. Also, look around. Ask who is here at this visit day. Look at the current graduate students and ask them, is this everyone? Are these all of the graduate students? Are these typically the graduate students that are participatory, or Is everyone participatory in the community? You want to look around and see who's there, and look at the incoming cohort. These would be the people that you're going to be going through this journey with. So are you able to make friends on the visit? Is it more acquaintances? Are you more isolated? Get a feel, get the vibe. It's probably going to be the most accurate thing to how you're actually going to feel in the program. So make sure you take that atmosphere in when you're there. During the schedule of the visit day, you'll probably also have a lot of time to talk to the professors. So a question for you when you're on that visit day and to think about when you're thinking about choosing the right PhD program for you, ask yourself, can I see myself working with this professor as my advisor? When you're in person, talk to the professors, and you kind of want to ask them the same questions that I mentioned before that you would email them. So ask them, are they open to new students at this time? How many students are they advising? Who are those students if possible? You want to ask them, will they be there? Do they plan to be there for the duration of, your experience in the program if you go there? And get them talking about their research interests again, and get a feel for how they view the subject as a whole. For example, I went on a visit day, and this is someone else's experience at that visit day, but this person asked the professor or told the professor that they were interested in data science, and this is a statistics department. And that professor expressed that they did not feel that data science and statistics were the same thing, and that specific individual should probably apply to different programs. That's one professor. And so if you were someone that also felt that same way, maybe you're like, yes, me and this professor are aligned about how we think about the subject. If you're a person that looks at data science and statistics and they're kind of blend together, they're kind of within the same wheelhouse, you'd probably disagree with this professor, and you'd have to ask, would that be a relationship that works? Do we view the subject the same way? And ask that about the department as a whole as well. The most important thing that you're probably going to do to help you make this decision is talk to the current graduate students at these programs. I mentioned cold emailing professors. You could also cold email students. A lot of schools have their students' emails on the website that you could reach out to. But seeing the students in person gives you even more information, and you're able to get a little bit more of a candid response from these people and figure out the real. So the question to ask is, do I like what the current PhD students had to say about their PhD experience? A big thing that my friends emphasized is finding a graduate student who matches your demographic. So whether that is a graduate student of the same racial demographic as you, if you're a woman, finding another woman in that program. It's kind of hard to visually identify, but if possible, identifying people who are LGBTQ+, if you are a part of that community as well. If you went to a liberal arts college before, if someone has that similar type of background, if someone is also an international student, you want to find someone who matches your demographic, who matches your background, and talk to them when you're on the visit day. Talking to other people that don't exactly have the same demographic as you, they could talk about their experience, and they could just be having a different experience from you because they don't have the same background as you. And it wouldn't be an accurate reflection of what your experience could potentially be like going to that program. So I definitely want to say, identify those students with a similar background and demographic as you. Choose the identity or piece of your identity that's most important to you, and find that in a graduate student. Talk to the student in private. Don't try to talk to them around other people. Don't talk to them in front of their advisor or other professors. If there is a social hour, talk to them alone there. If you guys are walking along campus for campus tour, talk to them a little bit away from the group. or just get their information and ask if it's okay to email them after and talk that way. You want to talk to them in private so that they feel comfortable telling you the real about their experience. Some important things you want to ask the student that you identify, or multiple students that you identify, is ask them about work-life balance. Do they feel that even though they're in a PhD program and most of your time is going to be spent on studies, do you ask them, do they feel like they have enough time to be themselves and do things that they love? If that's something that's important to you especially. Ask them, do they feel that the administration is supportive? There's a lot going on in the world and life happens, so you want to make sure that the administration or the department that you're in is going to be able to support you when things get tough. Do they have resources available? Do they promote these things? Ask those type of questions to the student, and ask them about the cohort dynamics. They may be able to speak to their cohort, but also maybe other cohorts of people, and ask what the dynamics are. Is there a community feel? Does it feel like the department has a culture? Ask how much the cohort dynamics play in their experience and maybe other students' experiences within the graduate program that they could speak to. Another tip I'm going to add is, if you aren't able to identify any students within your graduate program who match your demographic, see while you're at the school if there are any groups or organizations that match your demographic in the broader school community. So the broader school community may be able to supplement what the department is lacking. So when you're there, look around. If you bump into a student just on the broader campus outside of the department, ask about their experiences just with the school in general. All of that can be helpful in helping you determine if this will be a good fit program for you. Well, that concludes all the tips that I have for you today about how to choose the right PhD program for you. Just overall, you want a program that's going to be kind and supportive of your journey. No matter how prepared you believe you are for a PhD, it's going to be a hard journey. It's a reason only a small percentage of people in the population have a PhD. Okay, it's going to be hard and very transformational, and you want to make sure you're in a program that's going to support you through the growing pains and help you endure and help you be successful and finish. With that being said, thank you for tuning in. If you have any more questions, please drop them down below in the comments, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time for the next video.